Hey, what's going on, kids? Happy Monday and all that fun stuff. How are we?
Doing well,
Good.
doing well.
Bernie.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did the Lions come from?
Dude, I honestly, I've been sick all weekend, so I didn't even watch the game. But when I woke up this morning and saw the highlights, I was like, what?
Dude, what was it? A 58-yard
happened?
field goal? Back-to-back field goals to win the
Yay!
game?
Way to go, Peyton.
Wow, that's a new one. Oh, that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, from what I saw from the highlights, they played like ass in the first half. They were just terrible. And Mr. Campbell turned it on.
Well, I'm gonna bet on Amon say I can't say his name.
Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra, that dude, right? I'm gonna bet on that dude every time. That dude's just a freaking beast.
He's a beast.
Yep. And I know all this because a TikTok video popped up this morning. So.
There we go. That's the truth.
Right. So man, my dumbass cut down several trees, pulled brush. So I've got a wrist brace on. I'm shredded. My hands are just destroyed. Farm
At least
life.
you're in an adult chair today. Last time I saw you were still in the kiddie chair.
Dude, I didn't know. So the other day I'm going to take a shower, right? And I'm out in the farm, nobody can see me, so I walk through the house naked all the damn time, right? So I'm literally walking through the house to take a shower, and Elizabeth goes, "What the fuck did you do?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "Where'd that bruise come from?" I'm like, "What bruise?" And I look down, and literally the whole back half of my thigh is one big solid bruise. I'm like, it has to be from the pulled hammy. I have no idea. So I go up, take a shower, and of course we're both then Googling, can you bruise after the thing? And yeah, it took like 3 days for it to show up, but I still have a bruise that covers the whole backside of my thigh. That's how bad I jacked up my hammy.
Wow.
I did not even know that you would bruise that bad from an internal energy like that. I mean, I figured a bruise usually comes from impact, right?
Yeah,
right.
But not that one. It said, "Screw you,
not
Joe."
this time.
Yeah. So,
wow.
But woke up to a walk at 46 degrees this morning. It was awesome. So we're getting to the nice weather. We set out, Peyton and Jenna, my folks, sat out over at their farm, and we did s'mores and a bonfire Saturday night.
That
was good.
Nice.
Love this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, got into the camper last night, and I was like, oh, it just feels good. I just want to turn the fan on for white noise and go to sleep. Wake up this morning, I'm like, fuck, I need another blanket. Why is it so fucking cold? So I go over and turn the furnace on for the first time this season. I'm like, here we go. It's go time. Let's go.
Well, what sucks is we're under a burn ban still. We've had all this rain here, and they just put a statement we're under a 90-day burn ban. I'm like, how the fuck do you give us a 90-day burn ban? They
just got all that rain.
Right. Yeah. And we have farms. You have brush and stuff you got to burn. You got things you got to get rid of. So we're just lighting little tiny fires. So there, I just publicly announced that I'm breaking the law.
Yeah, but only a little bit.
So
no,
it's all right. So, all right, Peyton, let's roll that game footage.
Go. All right. Today's game is Am I the Asshole?
Yes.
You are. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's the end of it. Thanks, guys. Okay. So I'm going to read you guys stories that I pulled off of Reddit, and they're asking, am I the asshole for doing what I did or saying what I said? And we'll get some background to it, and then we'll get to vote yes or no on what you guys think. Make sense?
Yeah.
Go. Refusing to feed my sister's kids for free every day. Am I the asshole? So he says, I'm a professional sous chef. When watching my 3 nieces, I was able to get them to eat their vegetables for the first time ever. My sister is now asking me to cook for them every day just to keep them healthy. I said I would do it if she paid for the ingredients, but she refuses and says I should just be a good uncle and help the family. Am I the asshole?
No.
Not an asshole.
Not an asshole at all. She's literally asking for him to pay for the food and everything out of his own fucking pocket to pay for her kids.
Well,
yeah.
And can we also just take a minute to say this is every entrepreneur's nightmare?
Yes, dude. 100%.
Yep. And so looking at it business wise, you're like, no, I can't do that. Absolutely not.
That's a great.
But I mean, they went more into depth because everybody was like, "You're absolutely not the asshole." They gave a little bit more information at the end, like an edit. They came back in and they said, "The reason I feel like I'm the asshole is because I'm not hurting for money. Like I could absolutely pay for it and get by no problem. But it's just kind of the principle that I don't want to do all of that. I could, and I wouldn't be hurting. But they have 3 kids, 3 mouths they got to feed, and she would just pocket all that extra money that she's not spending."
I'm going to probably make an asshole statement. Them having 3 kids and everything, that was a choice.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I'm not paying for your choice.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, no, totally not an asshole at all.
No.
Cool. And so final vote, we're all saying no, they are not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
Cool. Next one. Not selling. Am I the asshole for not selling the ATV that I bought my stepson and then giving him the money for selling it? He goes, "I bought my stepson an ATV 4 years ago for his 16th birthday. But every time he and his friends break it, I fix it. Every time for the last 4 years. And so it's practically been rebuilt from the ground up." He goes, "I bought it for $1,600 and I've spent more than 4 times that in fixing it each time it breaks." And he goes, "My wife says to sell it and give my stepson the money. I just feel taken advantage of, and I don't think it's right to reward him for all the hard work and money that I've put into fixing it. He's 18 male. He works 20 hours a week, maybe, and barely any online schooling, just enough to get credit. Am I the asshole for not selling my ATV?"
I'm going to say no, he's not the asshole. But if he wants sex from his wife again, he better pay the money.
It's a solid point.
I was going to say, I don't think he's an asshole, but does he want to keep rebuilding it?
Yeah.
He's doing that, right? Like, so I would say sell it so that you don't have to keep rebuilding it.
Yeah, I mean, it's costing him money to continue to keep it at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and is the son even helping him like clean any of that, or like
that would be something, right? Like if the stepson was actually getting his hands dirty and helping to fix it, learning something. But that doesn't sound like that's the case.
But I also think that because the way he wrote this, he's 18, works maybe 20 hours a week. He's more pissed off at his stepson's work ethic than anything else in this.
Yep.
I mean, let's get real. I don't think it makes him an asshole, but I think he's got better options. Like he should just sell the stupid thing so he doesn't have to. He should quit bashing on his stepson in a public forum.
Yeah. I mean, it did go deeper. I kind of skimmed through and gave you all the important parts. But at one point he did say something about he's upset at his wife currently anyways because they haven't touched in a while. And I was like, that's a little bit too much information.
So Donnie was right.
Donnie fell on the head. He's like, I'm already not getting any. Why should I help her out anymore? Oh, what a issue that is. So final votes. Are they the asshole?
No.
I
mean, stupid, but not an asshole.
I agree. Yeah. Maybe they should like relook at the situation that they're in and whether they need to be in this relationship, but not an asshole.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, asking my boyfriend to quit his sport. I know that's why I'm reading it, Donnie. Don't worry. Every Saturday is rugby game for her boyfriend. He watches a game when he wakes up, plays a game with his rugby team, and then watches more games and highlights until he passes out. Tuesdays and Thursdays are very similar because they're practice days. After every game, practice, scrimmage, etc., he comes home debilitated by pain, and he has been to the hospital for a separated shoulder, a split open eyebrow, a split open lip that went through all of his muscle and fat. Ew. Now, most days are rugby days. When we had family fundraisers for our home burning down, he tried to miss it for a rugby practice. The rugby practice was canceled, so he actually showed up, but he asked if they could rush her birthday dinner so that he could make his practice after. And she's fine with him coaching, mentoring, watching. That's all okay. But it's overwhelming the amount of injuries, money spent, and then him screaming at me that I'm the reason we're broke. And then that made her ask him to stop playing the game. So do you think she is the asshole for asking him to quit playing his favorite sport?
So is this a husband?
Oh, that I don't remember. I think it is a husband.
I mean, it says boyfriend at the top.
Oh, does it say boyfriend? Okay, my
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend just quit his
Oh
sport.
yeah.
Get
Yeah,
the fuck out of the
boyfriend.
relationship.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
Yeah.
sounds like other things are more important than she is.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're gonna date an athlete, be prepared for the athlete life.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna say yes, she's an asshole for asking him to quit a sport because she's now asking him to change for her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So in my eyes, that does make her an asshole because, why does every woman think they can fix a man? We are unfixable, folks.
Amen to that. Amen
Yeah.
to that. You are definitely unfixable, and all of you are broken. But
Right? Yeah.
we need to stop thinking we can fix it. I will take that on my gender. We need to stop thinking we can fix it.
I mean,
There
I would
were
say Elizabeth helped me grow up a little bit, but
Yeah.
See,
Well,
there were two portions to me that hit me, and it was the overwhelming amount of injuries and money spent because of cleats and everything you need to buy, and then he screams at her that she's the reason that he's broke. I was like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
That's where
I
I'm
also
like,
want to know: is he like a professional rugby player, or is this just something that he's just doing for fun?
Well, I wouldn't
Well-
think he's professional because he's broke.
Yeah,
That's
so I
true.
think he's
This is
not getting
true.
paid to do this. This is a hobby.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
all self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there does have to come a point, even if it's something that you love, where you've just grown out of it. You can't do it anymore. Like,
How'd baseball go, Bernie?
yeah, I don't play anymore. Golf is my sport now.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
and I think, I mean, the only other question I would have is, was he doing this before they got together?
Oh yeah,
Because-
great question.
Right? Because I agree with you, Donnie. This is the life you chose to have with him because he already
Yeah.
did this, and now you're
Yeah.
asking him to change. I do feel she's an asshole in that point.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is you knew what you were signing up for. But if this is something that has like come into their life later, then I'm kind of like, okay, she probably has a fair standing to say,
Yeah.
should it really be our life? This wasn't where we started. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
a little bit of a different question.
Yeah.
So I
yeah.
pulled it up on my other screen. She's 23, he's 28. They've been dating for 2 years, and he started rugby 1 year before they met. So he had
Yeah.
been playing rugby.
Yeah.
for a
So
whole
she
year.
knew. She knew
Yeah.
what she was getting into. That's on her.
And probably she was going to the games of practice and everything else and was there supporting it. Right.
Yeah. And now
And-
it's just too much.
yeah. Yeah.
She got
100%.
tired of it, basically.
Oh,
Yep.
but of course she's not here to defend us, so we just get to call her an
No.
asshole and have fun with
Indeed.
it.
I mean, in fairness, dude sounds kind of like an asshole too. I mean, their house burned down and they did a fundraiser, and he's like, I don't know if I want to come to our fundraiser.
Exactly. I think they're both
Yeah.
assholes.
Can we hurry up your birthday party so I can go play a game?
Yeah.
I would say I feel like they're both a little bit of an asshole and maybe both a little dumb, but maybe they should stick together because then two dumb people are together.
Two
instead of
assholes make a
spreading it
right?
out. You
Yeah.
know, like just maybe don't procreate, but it's all good.
All right. Final answers. They're both
Yeah.
assholes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Final answer.
Okay. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
That was
Wow.
fun.
That was fun.
I like that.
That was a
That was
good
good.
one. That was
All
good.
Laughing
All right.
at others' misfortune.
Yeah. Okay. I'll bring that one back. It seems like we like that one.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Roll that
Cinder.
footage, Piggy.
This is Roger Jorns, founder of Reanimation Design, turning online visitors into clients purely from a great virtual presence, taking the stress out of building a website as well as maintaining and growing it. With great design and marketing strategy, see a boost in traffic and leads, making sure that all signs point back to you. And today, Roger gets the hot seat with the Success Champions team.
Okay, I gotta say, I love the alas, SEO is dead and you in front of the gravestone.
Yeah, that's good content.
Yeah.
So,
cute.
but the other picture with me and you, damn, I look good in that picture. I mean, so
Yes,
Roger.
3 days out of the year, he looks good, everyone. 3
right,
days.
Yeah.
right. The rest of the time, I can just fucking let myself go. Nobody's got to see me.
Yeah,
Right?
just
So
do
that's great.
whatever. Yeah.
So, Roger, welcome to the show, my friend. Tell us a little
Yeah,
bit more
thank you.
about you, and then tell us how we can help you, brother.
Yeah, so just doing some so it's been a year since I've been in business, and so just doing web design and marketing really kind of, I mean, it pretty much said it all, right? I try to help them figure out how do they get found on Google, what do people do when they actually get on their website, and then do they have any sort of follow-up, like what are they doing with their whole website? So really like to help them think holistically instead of just like, well, let's just get a website up there. So I've been doing that, and just been hanging out with y'all at SCN, and which has been life changing and really helping with my business and just really kind of helping me think through some things. So
Nice. Peyton, clip that part. I want to put that on loop somewhere. Thank you.
yeah.
So very cool. So what's the biggest thing we can help you with your business?
Yeah, I was trying to kind of think about what would be kind of beneficial, and I think and we've talked about it a little bit, but I'm trying to think through more, and this is kind of where I kind of feel like I'm kind of stuck in this sense. I'm trying to think of what are some effective strategies that I can take, like virtual coffees or virtual chats, one-to-ones, like when I'm meeting people. How can I take that from being just like, okay, I'm meeting with them, maybe I'm like, connecting them to people. How can I start to turn that, if you will, so that I can start getting more connections, productive like sales calls from it, and referrals, so that I can kind of start reaching more of my ideal clients? So how can I pretty much turn my like one-to-ones, virtual chats, whatever you want to call them, virtual coffees, into better connections, so that I can kind of get more sales call? Because it's kind of like I'm getting a whole bunch of one-to-ones, which are fantastic, but how can I also start getting more, instead of just like 50 one-to-ones, right? And then like one or two sales calls, how can I start to have a lot more sales call, or kind of get in that process of things that are leading more into that sales call?
So clarifying question, Roger, are you trying to convert the VC one-to-ones into sales calls, or are you trying to get more sales calls as a result of having those one-on-one VCs?
The second one. Yeah. Not necessarily looking to take those, that I'm having a virtual chat or VCs with. I'm not necessarily looking to get those ones unless I hear something in there, but I'm trying to figure out how can I get more connections from that can lead to that. That can kind of lead me closer to that, instead of kind of being, up here at the top, kind of get a little closer to the middle, bottom of the sales funnel, if you will.
Yeah. What's really fascinating is Jessica and I were talking about this via Slack last night as I was cooking ribs. And one of the things we were trying to think through is what's the switch we can help people make with their virtual coffees that change the dynamic of it. And one of the things that I realized is a lot of people who haven't sold are in this conundrum of they don't know who their ideal target is. So they don't know how to ask for the right referral partners, right? And they don't even know how to ask for a referral itself into the companies they want to work with, because they can't do the simplest thing of putting a hit list together, which is top 25 companies you want to go after. So one of the things that I think I'm going to universally start getting people to do is to go, okay, what would be your dream list? Like what companies would be like just amazing to work with? Is it Disney? Is it, for me, Renaissance fairs? Is it whatever? And the reason I want people to start thinking about their dream companies, because it helps them think through a list of particular companies they would want to do business with. Then I wonder, and I haven't proved this, this is the kind of the theory we're throwing out there. If they went to every virtual coffee and said, this is my top 25 companies I'm trying to get into, do you happen to know if anybody is in these companies? The second idea is to describe specifically what those companies look like and do that I want to be introduced to, and ask them not for the introduction referral, but do they know any companies that fit that profile so they can build their hit list through the virtual coffee.
Yeah.
And I think if they can build the hit list, now they can come back with a second round of asks going, okay, I've identified these companies. I'm looking for anybody that knows anybody in these companies.
Well, and I think something to also think about is I think one of the disconnects that sometimes happens with newer entrepreneurs and the hit list idea is I can say like, yeah, it'd be great to work for Google, but I don't have anything to offer Google yet. I'm too new, right? So your dream list might be a list of people who live down your street. It may not be the big name companies that everybody knows. It may be friends that you're like, they work here and that would be cool. It doesn't, I think sometimes when we say it has to be these like huge companies that everybody knows, I think people get scared.
Yeah, I agree with
And
that.
that makes it go, well, I'm too small to do that, so I can't think about it. So I think also thinking about your hit list in terms of any companies or any people you know that you would love to work with, even if they're small, even if they're small business owners themselves, or they're only a couple of years ahead of you in business. But if you feel like you have something you would love to offer them, you have something you could really help them with, go through the process of what Donnie was just saying and saying, what are they like? What is it about those companies, those people that makes them similar? Because that's your target, right? It may not be that person's company, but it's companies like that. So
Yep.
what are you targeting in that? I think that's also part of it too. Because I will admit, I was told to do the Dream 100 list year one of my business. And that just freaked me out because I was like, well, I don't want to work for those big companies because I'm an individual human. I just want to go, I want to go do work at this little mom and pop shop down the road. Like, I don't need those big companies. And that making that dream list put me in a place of imposter syndrome and negativity. And so I think sometimes we also need to be willing to say your dream list might just be something that's a dream for you, but none of the rest of us would have ever heard about it. And that's okay too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're nailing it, Stevie, because one of the things I think people are not wrapping their head around is the characteristics of the companies I want to work with. So Roger, if you were to look at the websites you've built, what are some of the characteristics of those businesses? Are they purpose-driven, mission-driven companies that maybe they give back, or are they nonprofits with some distinct features? What are some unique things that can give you keywords that when you're doing virtual coffees, you can say, I'm looking for nonprofits that are 20 people, or I'm looking for companies that are mission driven. And you're not asking necessarily yet for the introduction, you're asking to build your hit list of companies that you could potentially start targeting. Because I think if you can build in that hit list of companies, now you can come at it from a completely different perspective of, let's put them into a sales process, right? Let's use a network to see if anybody's connected with them. Can I connect with somebody in that company on LinkedIn? Can I reach out from a call and say, hey, is website something you guys are working on or looking at in the near future? Right? Can I just introduce myself? But you can actually build a process to then go after the hit list. And it's not a one-off, hey, let me make one call and they said no and it dies on a vine, right? I can put it into, okay, what's the 7-step touches? How are all the different ways I can try and get connected to that company, utilizing your network to help build the front end and then additional touch points throughout that. Does that make sense, Roger?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So I think we're going to try and start speaking more to that because most people who find networking found it because they didn't want to do all the traditional sales, right? But the problem with not doing the traditional sales is they didn't actually learn prospecting and how to prospect, how to do all this stuff. So now it's how do we tweak it enough that they actually can start doing the things that a traditional salesperson at a company would do because they were told, hey, grab a phone and go freaking call somebody, make a list of people to call, then get after it, right? We're trying to take it all the way back to the basics and the beginnings.
Like, Roger, if we were to ask you right now, who are some of the companies that you've already worked with? What would you say? And you don't have to go into all the details, but
not like names,
generally,
but describe them. Yeah.
Right. Oh,
we lost him.
I think he said, "Fuck you guys." I'm not.
He's like, I got everything I need. I'm out.
That was the most perfectly timed electronic problem, like right there. We finally put him on the hot seat. Roger, tell us, and he's gone.
And of course, it's got to be when I ask the question. I never say.
So
Bernie starts talking and gone. There
Gone.
goes our guest. Thanks,
All right.
Bernie.
Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean, what do you guys think about the way I'm trying to
Yeah.
rethink this? I mean, what are some potential keywords or things they could be asking the people they're doing virtual coffees for to find those to build their hit list?
Well, and I think something that you've said today that I don't know that I've heard us say specifically is use the virtual coffee to build the hit list. You don't have
Mhm.
to come in with it. And I do think that's a little bit different, right? Because like I can sit on a call with Bernie and a virtual coffee and I can say, so I'm looking for like businesses, probably about 500 employees, one HR person.
Mm.
And I want them to be focused on mid-level managers. And maybe just saying that allows Bernie to go, well, there's this company I know of, right? That
Yep.
fits that vibe. That could be it. And the thing is, then it's not just about adding that company to my hit list. It's saying, what
Who
industry
else
is that
looks like
company
that?
in?
Yep.
Right? All the things that go with it. What industry is that company in? What other things do they do? Who else knows companies like that? And then I can start making more of a list. So I really like the idea, Donnie, of using the virtual coffee to actually see if people have suggestions on companies that would fit that. Not introductions per se. I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
saying introduce me to them.
Yep.
I'm just saying I'm just trying to make a list of
Become
companies.
aware of them, right?
I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's really a different twist that we haven't done a lot of.
No, and literally it just came out as Jess and I were talking last night because, it's really hard to go back to where you were when you first started out and everything,
Yeah.
and try and break that shit down because you don't realize how much crap you've just learned over the years. And so go back to that beginner mindset is really hard. Bernie, ask your question again that we were going to ask Roger before he exited stage left and said, "Fuck it, I'm good. I got everything I need. I'm out."
Roger, don't leave.
Yeah. I was like, all right, that sounds great, guys. I'll talk to you later.
So tell us who some of the existing clients are and not necessarily identify them by name, but what are
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of the characteristics of the companies that you're working with right now?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, most of them have been, especially when I started, were female entrepreneurs and nonprofits. And even in the nonprofits that I was working with, I would work with the female entrepreneurs. And so that was really awesome. They were open to ideas. Also, they knew what they wanted. And I'm not talking about just the female entrepreneurs. I'm talking about the other, the male as well, all the businesses. I think one of the main things is that they were open to ideas, but also they had an idea of what they wanted and were like, Roger, how can we make sure that this is actually going to work? Or
give me an
is
idea. What do you
this-
mean by they had an idea?
Yeah. So again, without identifying, I do this thing, right? I have my business and I sell to a certain population, and I want to make sure that I am, I don't have. I'm trying to figure out how can I
Say it without giving them away. Got it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm trying to figure out how can I get more people to my website. I've tried this thing and I've arranged my website like this because I've looked at other things, like maybe my friend or, so they've kind of done a little bit of DIY themselves. So they have kind of an idea and they understand that importance. And so they want to be able to but okay, hey, you're the expert. What do I need to do? Okay, cool. That makes sense. Can we also do this thing? And okay, so that kind of fits in the mold of what we're trying to do.
So would you say, Roger, that most of the people you help already have some sort of website or web presence and you're like taking it to the next level, like they've done some of it by themselves and now that's next level? So that is a little bit of an identifier, right? You don't want people who have no website. You want people who have a website and are looking to up level it.
Yeah. So I would say probably 9 out of 10 of them already have a website. There's maybe been one that doesn't.
Okay.
Cool.
Are they solopreneurs or do they have staff?
Most have been solo. A few, the nonprofits have had staff.
How long have they been in business?
Most of them, I would say most of them more than 5 years. Some have been longer than that.
There you go.
maybe a couple that have been less, but more than 5 years.
Yeah. So now imagine sitting on a VC and saying, look, I'm not looking for introductions. I'm trying to look to build my hit list of people that I can potentially, use to go after. Do you happen to know any female nonprofits that are very purpose driven? They know what they want. They already have a website and they've been doing this for more than 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that brings you from way out here to here.
Really narrowed down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if we were to look at the nonprofit side of things, what are some of the characteristics of the nonprofits that you've worked with?
Yeah, purpose driven, very involved in the community, but also they don't want to, and this is kind of an angle that I sometimes kind of go with, is that they feel kind of embarrassed by their website. So when they reached out to me, they're like, hey, I want to take this to we want to make sure that it looks good to the people go here, because one, people they don't want it to be confusing, but two, also they need it for like donations or not donations, but grants. So it needs to kind of hit, multiple. And so they want their website to be an extension of when people meet them out, when they're networking or when they're having like a gala or something like that, or people actually coming to visit their location. They want their website to also feel that way as well, to kind of be an extension of their personality.
Cool. How big are the nonprofits?
Like in terms of like how many
employees?
Oh yeah. I think both of them can be kind of general because they both kind of vary in size. Both of them have at least at least over 5, at least 10. I think both of them have at least 10, I believe.
Employees.
One of them is a little bit larger than the other. Yeah.
Cool. So something to think about is now the secondary ask for your hit list becomes, I'm looking for nonprofits that have over 10 employees, right? Because that changes the dynamic of who they may introduce you to. Because if they got 10 employees, they're doing $300,000-$400,000, maybe even more a year in revenue, which means they may have budget and line items specifically earmarked for websites and the likes. So when we can get around the generic ask of I need nonprofits, right, you can now say I'm looking for nonprofits of 10 more employees that are very active in their local community. And it's not like every virtual coffee is going to give you a name of these type of people.
Right.
But if you're doing 50 virtual coffees and getting 2 sales, can I get 20 names out of those virtual coffees as a hit list that I can now build a process to go after?
Yeah.
Right. So let's say you got 20 companies put on a hit list. What are your thoughts? What would you do to go through the process of figuring out how to connect to these people and try and get into a sales conversation? What goes through your head?
I guess probably check their website, check to see who's working there, see who is also sometimes they have like sponsors, if you will, or people that like kind of donate kind of regularly or whatever to them. So check that to see, can I connect there, and also just, do they have contact, information on their website? But yeah, I would say probably, the people that are working there, what sort of sponsors, and then if they have any sort of like contacts, just like right there on the website.
My damn sales brain just works a billion miles an hour sometimes. When you said their sponsors, the first thought that ran through my head is, can you get to their title sponsor, right? Build a relationship with them and come in the back door with the spot. Because if that title sponsor introduces you, Peyton, we're not coming in that door, right? If that title sponsor introduces you in, there's a high more probability that they're going to take a sit down and meeting because they got to take care of that title sponsor.
Yep.
And would it be easier to get introduced to the sponsor? I don't know this. I mean, this is all theory.
Right. Yeah.
Would it be easier to get to the sponsor and say, hey, I'm not trying to sell you anything. That's not the point of this conversation. I want to build a relationship. I want to network. And ultimately, I'd love an introduction to this nonprofit. Let's build a relationship over time. Like, is that a process you could put in play to come in that way?
Yeah. And I think that's really good.
I want to loop back to how we got here, because it was all about defining and then defining more and then defining even more. When I was trying to figure out podcasting and trying to sell podcasts for people, I would always tell them that specificity sells. The more defined you can make your audience, the more you can target them. And then you can sell to that specific audience. And they're like, oh, whenever they search like workouts, there's going to be a million workouts. But if they specifically want a workout for men who are trying to lose this specific weight in their belly or whatever, and they're still on a keto diet, and you've got that specific podcast, you're going to find all of the people that are looking for that specific thing. And so whenever I do the same thing whenever it comes time for like the SCN chapter meetings, and I'm asking for what I need to be introduced to or who I'm trying to make connections with. I'm like, okay, don't just give me a broad thing, give me a specific thing. So here's the specific type of industry that I'm trying to target this week, and see if that goes through. And then you take that same thing whenever it comes to finding who your VCs need to connect you with. I'm trying to connect with these specific industries or these specific groups.
You know, this is really fascinating for me, because try and follow this train of thought, because I'm still trying to figure this out, how to get you guys to understand it. So Roger needs entrepreneurs more than 5 years in the game. Those would likely also be a perfect target for Peyton and even Bernie for their live streaming service and the things they do. So my thought is, wouldn't it make sense for you guys to partner up, sit down and build this kind of group combined hit list, and then go, okay, we need to see if we can get to this particular entrepreneur, right? Now what happens if we're all coming at it from a different angle to try and get connected to this person, so we can go have a lot deeper conversation? Now it's not about trying to necessarily sell them per se, but can Peyton get a conversation with them through connections and everything else, and then go, hey, I need to introduce you to my friend Roger, right? And then bring Roger into the conversation, right? That's the level of networking that should really be happening. But now if you guys are all going out in your virtual coffee saying, hey, I'm looking for female entrepreneurs that are more than 5 years, in business, you can come back then and compare list and build a lot bigger list to go after. Like Bernie, I see you and Rebecca Prejean doing this, and creating it that way. And now imagine if you find 2 or 3 other people that female entrepreneur 5 years in is also their target. Can you bring them into the fold and kind of build this power team of people that are all going after the same clients? And now, you're all bringing each other's names up. So let's say Peyton gets in there first and meets this entrepreneur, talks to him, goes, man, I need to introduce you to Roger. I need to introduce you to Bernie. And then makes the introductions. And when Roger comes through, he goes, hey, how'd the conversation with Peyton go? Like, now you're kind of reinforcing each other's services, right? Then Bernie comes in the mix and do this. But it's because you're collectively going after, the same type of people and talking each other up and building each other up. And I think so much more business would be done. Same thing with the nonprofits, right? You get into the nonprofits and go, hey, have you ever thought of, building a website, doing a live stream, doing learning classes and the likes, right? And then literally trying to bring your real friends into the conversation. And this is what I used to do on sales calls. I get done with a sales call and I'm like, when's the last time you guys looked at a new copy, or when's the last time you guys looked at your benefits? And all I wanted to try and do is be able to bring my networking partners into the conversation. I just want people to start doing it on a micro scale as well. Does this make sense for you guys?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Right. And now imagine each of you have a hit list of 20 people. Now you've got, just on this screen, 60 different people you're trying to get into conversations with, and just opening doors for each other to get into those conversations. And then, God, if one person gets a deal, the rest of them potentially could lean into that same deal. Or it's a situation of, you, Roger, land a website and go, hey, do you know, for maybe $600 a month, we could add a live streaming aspect to this, right? And now you're not trying to sell services, but it's an additional thing that you could add on to what you already are selling. Yeah, yep. Value add. Thank you. So does that sound intimidating to think about? Does that sound like too hard to do?
No, I think that it's definitely, like you said, it's another level. It's trying to think through like, how, oh, hey, like we just finished something and it's like that high of like, oh, okay, cool. I just, got a client or whatever. But like now it's like, oh, hey, take a step back and, what more value can I add to my client? What else can I do to really help them? And I think that it's just more of a process of like thinking through, hey, I'm glad we're able to connect. What else can I do for you? Even though it's not me, but how can I, connect you to somebody else? So
Yeah.
Well, I think you also have to pay attention then, during your virtual coffees and really understanding what the value is that your network truly brings, right? Because a lot of times, VCs, it can sometimes be a one and done. Like you don't find something necessarily where you're, synergy partners and so on and so forth. But having a good understanding of what they do and knowing what to listen for, so you know when to bring somebody in, that's a really important aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
You definitely got to understand the triggers and the keywords that are going to pop up for other people. And you can't keep your entire network in your head, right, at all times. But if you have 3 to 5 other people that are dynamically going after the same exact type of clients, right? Now it changes. And now what I was learned to do was learned how to position them into the conversation. My referral partners, like if you guys were, my best referral partners, we were all going the same type of business, I would try and work your guys' stuff into my overall conversation. Right? Not necessarily just listening for the trigger words, which is great, but it's okay, so we're going to do this sales training program. When's the last time you thought about your website being your first salesperson that opens up the conversation? When did you think about bringing in live streaming or LMS classes to continue to train your guys? I'll train them in person. Bernie helps with the online type of training. And then we do a live stream out front on the website that then brings more awareness to it all. Like, so it becomes part of the overall dynamic conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and I know some of the struggle is people have a hard enough time trying to sell their own shit. Right. So it's, why the hell would I bring up anybody else's names? Why would I try and bring them into the conversation? And the only thing I'm going to challenge that thought process is, what if you're all doing it? What if you're all bringing up each other's names, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. How much more opportunity does a group get collectively?
And then it turns the triangle that we've been preaching forever throughout all of SCN. That triangle is now more than our referral partners. That is the partners that we are leveraging into these deals.
100%.
Right.
And then imagine if you sat down once a week with that triangle team and said, how's our list? Where are we at? What progress have we made? Have we gotten connected to the sponsor? Have we gotten, into these people? And now you're having a real kind of sales meeting with your power team of people collectively talking about how you're trying to penetrate each one of these clients and get into them. Right. So the solopreneurs makes this a little bit harder. It's a lot more easier when you got like the nonprofit with a 10-person company, because now you got more people to try and connect to inside those companies. But, come together once a week and you're not having this dynamic conversation. Hey, we all see Sally was on our target list. What did we do to get closer to Sally? Did we find somebody who was connected to her? Did we find, a place that she hangs out is going to be? How are we progressing this forward to make this so we can all get into the conversation?
Yep.
Right. And I think that dynamically shifts it all. So 1-on-1 equals 111. Yes, it does, Mike. Right. And so to Peyton's point on the triangle, you have to get really dialed in to who are those best industries that sell into companies I want to work with. Like, seeing the Mallons pop up there, if they found a commercial printer that was going after those larger corporate clients type of thing, and they also found like a top sales trainer, just because those was my combination, potentially Imagine now they're having a sit down weekly meeting talking about that hit list and those companies they're trying to go after. I think there's such a power move here, where everybody's proactively trying to win.
Yeah. And I mean, that to me, that's the hard part, is finding out who are the other points in this triangle. And we've gone over the regular referral partner triangle forever, but now it's just another layer to that, which is, it's like whenever you go and you have your, like Donnie, you shared once the Excel sheet for all of your VCs.
Yep.
And as you go through your VC, you tell if they are a higher priority for you, or if they're somebody that you keep closer and you don't deal those referrals out as much. And so now I'd have to go through all of my referral sheets and see who I feel comfortable not giving clients to, because I'd love to give clients to everybody, but who would be the best mix to add into what my company does and be like, hey, yeah, do you also need an update to your website? Because I know a guy. Or do you need, for this virtual event, do you also need a product placement? Because I know people that do products, and I could bring in the melons. And it's just figuring out, more so than who are these people in the triangle that help my company, who are the people in this other triangle that I can help.
100%. And I want you guys, you're spot on. And I want you guys to think through, is what industries really complement what I sell. So Peyton, in your case, websites might be a good thing, because now if a live stream goes on the website, potentially, right? It could be your in-person video crews could be, a thing, because you want the live streaming type of stuff. So it's what industries really complement what you do. Roger, we know for sure that websites or copywriters are traditionally a good pair matchup with websites. So now, is there a 1-2 combination? If the websites, copywriting, what's that next industry that would complement what you do? And maybe it's marketing at that point. Maybe it's an actual marketing firm, right? So now you've got marketing, copywriting, and websites all combined, building out this real cool synergistic relationship of, cool, let's come together once a week, talk about our hit list, and see what progress we've made in going after each one of these.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
And
alongside it, for me, is specifically you're looking at nonprofits. And I think hand in hand with nonprofits is a lot of associations and trade groups. Like, I've made good connections with the National Speakers Association here in North Texas. And every once in a while, they call me to come out and do the in-person gig, which I'm fine with. It's not what I normally do, but I'll do that every once in a while. Every few months, they'll call me and say, hey, our guy called out. Do you think you can make this work? And absolutely, I'm going to jump on that, because it puts me in the room of all the people that are trying to get on more stages. And so associations and trade groups, I think, are a great spot for you, because in the room where there's a bunch of people, somebody's going to know somebody for you, right?
Yeah.
And in addition to that, thinking along the nonprofits, you think of somebody like a John Cabral, who a lot of his clients are nonprofits, right? Can you sit down and go, okay, John, what type of nonprofits are you wanting to work with? And then if I want to get access to John's client base, can I create a hit list for John of similar nonprofits through my VCs and stuff? And I can bring back to him and say, John, these are some of the companies that I know you're not currently working with, but I would also like to try and maybe do some website work with it. Would you be cool wanting to sit down and figure out, can we collectively go after these together? Right? Now you're taking somebody who's a little bit more seasoned, a little bit further down the road, but you're bringing them value up front, saying, here's the companies I want to target. Here's some ways I'm thinking through how I go after them, connecting on LinkedIn, looking at their websites and whatnot, and almost bringing him a gift saying, I don't want you to give me access to all your clients because we're still forming a relationship, but what do you think about collectively going after these companies together to see if we can work collectively to get in there?
That's really cool. I really like that idea.
Roger, if only we had like a weekly meeting with John Cabral.
Yeah, no. That's what I was going to say. I was like, well, looks like I know what we're doing tomorrow. No.
And I think for a lot of people that are early in their business, one of their biggest struggles is because they don't have the client base. Giving actual referrals is really hard, because you can give introductions, but to really bring value to somebody else is hard, because you don't currently have the relationships in a lot of the companies that you need to be able to make those awesome referrals. So by changing the perspective of how you're approaching this, you could take a bunch of complete rookies that are new in the game. You know, year in business is healthy; it's a good place to be, and then work collectively to bring more value to some of these bigger hitting referral partners.
Yeah.
You know, because I can only imagine if you guys are sitting across from somebody who says my average client does $100 million a year, there's a bit of an intimidation factor.
Yeah.
Right. So let's change it from the $100 million a year to what if you guys had, you know, a group of you that were all targeting on companies that were scratching on their first million.
Yeah.
Right. That should, in theory, change the way you think about it. And if you need companies that are $100 million a year, cool. How do you find the other people that are also selling into companies that are $100 million a year? And build that as your A team. If you, I got to find a better way of calling it. A team, power team, fuck you team, something. I don't know what the hell to call it.
It's still in the works. So yeah, we'll figure it out together. Throw it in Chat GPT. We'll figure this out. But
right.
Yeah, no, that's a great first step. I love this plan, and I'm not even in the hot seat. So
it was just funny because Jess and I were talking last night, like, what problem does SEN actually solve? And for me, it's not networking. We're not solving networking for you guys. I believe it's part of our role is to help you guys get clients. And the only way we're going to help you guys get clients is we got to dynamically change your approach to overall business. Because if you're not getting clients from networking, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
Right. You know, so otherwise it just becomes socializing. Yeah, we fixed networking. We've got that dialed in. But now that we've got the process of networking, now we go, okay, how do we level it up to where you're actually getting business? Because if you start getting business, you'll bring more people to the playground for us. Right? Because you can't help but run into more people. The more business you do, you continue to find and meet new level different people and the likes. So we're going to be pushing hard in this direction to try and figure all this out.
I like it. I like where it's going, and I'm excited to see if it catches. Then it's just going to spread like wildfire across SEN and beyond, I think. And then it's just going to ramp up all the small businesses to help each other out even more than they are. And that sounds great, being a small business. That sounds awesome.
Well, and so for like you guys, I mean, real question, since y'all are fairly young in your companies, how much actual sales training or knowledge have you been given? Where have you learned all the things on how to actually do the sales for your business?
Personally, I've got no sales training.
I was gonna say, other than like reading books or like actually just doing it, not like professional sales training necessarily.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And for me, it was 15 years in corporate. I had a fair amount of sales training, but I don't know that it's necessarily relevant to what I'm selling and doing now.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, different products, different services, different way of approaching it. I don't really see what I do as a smile and dial call center type product or service. I suppose it could be potentially, but it's not the approach that I really want to take with it.
So that makes me remember the other side of this is we're going to start harping more on there's 3 ways you have to be doing business development. Networking's 1. Hand raising is 2, getting on stages, podcasts, bringing awareness. But a cold outreach is number 3. There has to be a cold outreach of some sort. So we're going to try and really figure out how do we make the cold outreach a hell of a lot easier to do. And I think the concept of virtual coffee is to build your hit list. And then y'all are collectively trying to go after similar type of companies may help with that. So, because one thing that pops in my head is maybe we're going after a nonprofit with 10 people. Can I reach out for my referral partner? Can I say, hey, I don't do websites, but I have a friend of mine that would love to work with you guys doing websites. Are websites anything on your guys' arena? By the way, I do learning management systems. I do, live streaming, so I'm not trying to pitch you anything. I'm just curious if you guys have websites on your radar. I don't know if that's a big enough dynamic shift to get people to do it more, but we've got to figure out how to make the cold outreach portion of it a lot more fun and a lot more user friendly. So we'll be working on that. So Roger, we've taken you through a whole shit ton of stuff. what are some of your big takeaways from the day? What is some of the stuff you're going to try to implement?
Yeah, I really like that idea. Like right there at the beginning, like your dream companies, like what are the characteristics of them? What do they do? Really thinking through that, because then it's kind of like, okay, well, those are the type of companies that I want to, and then kind of start narrowing it down. Excuse me, even more. So I really like that. Like the idea of, well, who do I want to work with? And thinking kind of big companies, and then bringing it down kind of, to like a surface level, sort of thing. So I thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, bud. Boys, let's kick it over to events. What do you guys got coming on? What events do you have coming? I know Peyton and I are going to go do something really cool today. So we're going to go to a Mexican restaurant and sit down with Tim Berry. And Tim and I are going to do a fireside chat. No real agenda other than just fucking two guys that have been selling their entire careers, talking about the dynamics of really building out your sales process. So you can be able to join that live here on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or if you're in the DFW area and you just want to come hang out as Tim and I drink old fashions and talk, come to the restaurant, come hang out there, because it's going to be a lot of damn fun. So, Bernie, what things you got coming up?
I have just one event this week, and it is the one I do quarterly. Let's talk about suicide because we need to. It's on the 14th at 4 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. I've got a workshop coming up called Skip the Cold Calls, Master Fractional Executive Networking for Serious Results. So we got a whole workshop geared toward the fractionals and helping them really get dialed in. So that's on November 14th from 9 to 10 it'll be a Zoom call, but you can find that here. I'll drop it in chat, and then I'll go drop it in the LinkedIn live stuff as well. So,
and Roger, if they're not on your synergy triangle, get grant writers. I start asking for grant writers.
Yeah, that's a great point. Though that's really fascinating. I wouldn't have thought about asking for grant writers, but man, look at all the stuff they're trying to do and the conversations they're having.
Yeah, so fill me in. Why grant writers?
Well, because most nonprofits that are looking for funds are going to be submitting for grants, right? So they need help writing in a way that allows for all of these funders to provide that grant money to them so that they can operate. And obviously, if they are asking for funds, there's a reason they're asking for those funds, so that they can operate, so that they can potentially build a website for their nonprofit, so that they can continue doing the things.
I'm going to write that down. Look for grant writers. That's on my list as well. Hey, you want to leverage each other, Roger?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the way I'd put it out there. Do you want to leverage each other? But you guys do you. No judgment here.
Figure this out. Eventually, Donnie's trying to figure out the different way to say A team. I'm trying to figure out a different way to say leverage each other. We're gonna figure this out.
I'm telling you to come in the back door. So I mean, it's just gonna be full circle.
Yeah, you've told me. Okay, never mind. We're moving on.
So, guys, we are here every Monday, 8 a.m., having fun in the hot seat, making fun of Bernie's mustache every chance we get. So come hang out with us each week as we throw somebody in the hot seat, help you get the week kicked off. And we say inappropriate things on a regular basis and haven't been canceled yet. So you guys go have a badass week. Love you, mean it. See you. Bye.